Hello, dear students. Today I'll be continuing with the chapter production function. In this, we will be studying meaning of production function, short run and long run production function, difference between returns to a factor, returns to a scale, concepts of production which will include total product, marginal product, average product. Very important topic, law of variable proportion will be discussing in this chapter. Causes of these increasing returns, diminishing returns, the relationships between different concepts of production, and then we'll be studying some questions. Let us start with this chapter. What is the aim of the producer? What the producer do? Always the producer wanted to increase its profit. How will it increase its profit? By minimizing the cost, increasing the sale, and then he will be able to increase its profit. Sale in the sense, बेचने के बाद जो भी उसके पास पैसा आएगा, that means the revenue, you can say, right? The difference between the revenue and the cost is profit. So when the producer will maximize the profit, he will be highly satisfied, and each and every producer always works on increasing their profits, minimizing the cost and maximizing their revenues. But how will they increase their product? How will they increase their profit? But to increase their profit, first they have to increase their production. They have to produce more. Now, what is the production? When we transform the raw material into the finished products, this process is known as the production process, right? When the inputs are turned into the outputs, transformation of inputs into the outputs are known as the production. And it can be increased by using the factors of production like labor, land, capital, and entrepreneur, right? These are some things, these are the factors of production which helps us to produce more. What is production function? Production function is the technical relationship between input used and output produced. कितना हमारा input लग रहा है, उससे कितना हमारा output आ रहा है. The relationship, the functional relationship, or you can say the technical relationship between the input and the output is known as the production function. Now you can see that this is the output, this is the functional relationship of x1 and x2. x1 means the fixed factor and x2 is the variable factor. Here we'll talk about the short run. Now what is the caution? Caution here is when we talk about the purely transactional relationship or purely functional relationship, here we do not consider the cost of input. कितने का आया उसकी बात नहीं कर रहे हैं. यहाँ पर हम टेक्निकल रिलेशनशिप में सिर्फ बात कर रहे हैं कि इनपुट कितना आया, कितने का आया. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट कितना आया. दैट मीन्स इफ लेबर इज वर्किंग, हाउ मेनी लेबर्स आर वर्किंग, 5, 6, 7, the number of labor, not the amount of labor. The amount in the sense the value we are giving to the labor, the salary and wages we are giving to the labor. We are not talking about the cost of the input, right? We only talk about the number of inputs. Now here I have speak one word, short run. So why I have used the short run? Because production function is always calculated in two parts, short run production function and long run production function. एक जो थोड़ी थोड़ी देर में चेंज हो सकता है, लॉन्ग रन जो बहुत लंबे टाइम तक चलेगा उसको चेंज नहीं कर सकते आप. दैट शॉर्ट रन प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन इज नोन एज द रिटर्न्स टू फैक्टर, रिटर्न्स टू अ फैक्टर. एंड व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट द लॉन्ग रन, इट इज रिटर्न्स टू स्केल, जब पूरा टाइम पीरियड चेंज होता है. तो रिटर्न्स टू अ फैक्टर इज द शॉर्ट रन प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन. वी स्टडी द डिफरेंस बिटवीन दिस. रिटर्न्स टू स्केल इज द लॉन्ग रन प्रोडक्शन फंक्शन. When we talk about returns to a factor, that means एक फैक्टर हमारा चेंज हो रहा है, उस पर जो हमें आउटपुट मिल रहा है, only one factor is varied, that means variable. सिर्फ एक फैक्टर वेरिएबल and all other factors kept constant. But when we talk about the long run production function, in long run all the factors are variable, no factor is fixed, क्योंकि long run में तो सब कुछ ही बदल सकता है, right? In returns to a factor, factor proportions are changed. Factor proportion means if I talk about on one land, one labor is working. Again, land is same, 2 labor are working. Land is same, 3 labor are working. That means this variable, this proportion is variable, right? And when we talk about returns to scale, the factor proportions are not changed. That means 1:1 increase होंगी, सारी चीज़ें change हो सकती हैं. Land भी increase होगा, labor भी increase होगी. 1:1, 2:2, 3:3. So here scale does not changes. Scale means here factor proportion does not changes, but the time period or scale changes. In the returns to a factor, factor proportions are changed. Here you can look at this. Land, 2 land पे 1 labor, 2:1. Then labor increase, land is same, 2:2, 2:3, 2:4, 2:5. These are factor ratios in returns to a factor which it changes. And when we talk about the returns to a scale, you can look at both the things, that land and labor both are changing. Land is also increasing and labor can also be increased. Now you look at the factor ratio, these are same, 2:1. If we divide 4:2, it again becomes 2:1. 6:3, again it becomes 2:1. When we divide 8:4, it again becomes 2:1. Here 2:1. That means the ratio here, factor proportion, does not changes, it remains same. There are two types of factors of production, fixed factor and variable factor. Fixed factor are those factors which cannot be changed in the short run, right? Like for example, you can say land or machinery. But when we talk about a variable factor always varies or changes with the change in the output. Output changes, variable factor changes. Like labor changes, raw material changes, electricity we use. Here we'll study the short run production function, because in your syllabus long run production function is not there. But to give you a brief knowledge, I have explained to you the long run production function. When we talk about the syllabus part, it is only the short run production function. You don't have to pay much attention on the long run. So when we talk about the short run production function, returns to a factor when some factors are fixed and some are variable. Some here means we'll only talk about one is variable and other are fixed. So here you can look at the equation part. This is the output. This is the production function, is the functional relationship between the labor and capital. Here capital, you can see the bar here. Bar means it is the fixed one and the labor is the constant one. Labor is the variable one. That means it changes. So here labor variable factor and the land is fixed factor, which has been denoted by K. Concept of production, we have three things: total physical product, marginal physical product and average physical product. We'll study it one by one. टोटल फिजिकल प्रोडक्ट इज द सम टोटल ऑफ आउटपुट. जो भी टोटल जितने भी हम लोगों ने वेरिएबल फैक्टर्स लगाए हैं, टोटल आउटपुट जितना भी हमारा आया अलॉन्ग विद द फिक्स्ड फैक्टर, दैट इज टोटल आउटपुट, और यू कैन से टोटल फिजिकल प्रोडक्ट. हाउ कैन इट बी कैलकुलेटेड? इट कैन बी कैलकुलेटेड बाय द समेशन ऑफ MPP, or it can be calculated by APP into N. N here means you can simply write AP into Q. Q is the quantity. Quantity means number of variable factors you have taken. Marginal product is the additional product, net addition to the total product when an additional unit of variable factor is employed. When we talk about the additional unit, if one person is working and if we have employed one more person, that means the addition of one person. The addition of one person, how much addition is there in the total production? If one person is working and producing 2 units, if two persons are working producing 5 units, then the addition of by adding one person, the production is increased by 3. And suppose it is 9, if by adding one more person, the production is increasing by 4. So this is the marginal product, additional product due to the increase in the additional factor, variable factor. So how do we calculate it? MPP is equals to TPP n minus TPP n minus 1, right? And TPP is delta TP upon delta n, or you can say that delta TP upon delta Q, right? Where MP is marginal physical product, TP is change in total product, N is number of units, and delta N is change in total output. You can also write delta Q. The last one here is average physical product, APP. It is the per unit production of the variable factor. Per unit means एक person अगर 10 चीज़ें बना रहा है. Suppose if we talk about one person, 2 things, 2% 5, 3% 9, right? So what is average product means 3 लोग मिल के 9 का प्रोडक्शन करें तो एक कितने का करेगा? 9 divided by 3, that means 3 का. एक बंदा 3 का कर रहा है तभी 3 लोग 9 का कर रहे हैं. So this is dividing the total output by the number of units employed. So here TPP divided by N. N means here we are talking about the quantity. So average product is total physical product divided by the input. Now you can see the production schedule. Here fixed factor land is not changing. Variable factor labor we have taken, it is changing by 1 unit. TPP is जब कुछ भी हमने नहीं लगा रखा था तो खाली लैंड पड़ा हुआ, कोई भी प्रोडक्शन नहीं आ रहा. जैसे ही एक लेबर लगा, he started producing 3 units. By increasing one more labor, that means 2 people are working and they are producing 7. 3 people are working, they are producing 12 units. So these are the total output produced by the combination of these variable factors. And now what is average physical product? It is per unit. So that means one person is working and producing 3 units, that means 3 divided by 1, 3. When 2 persons are working, they are producing 7 units, 7 output. 2 persons are producing 7 output. That means one person is producing 3.5. 3 persons are working and are producing 12 output. That means one person is producing 4. Likewise, we'll calculate at all the levels of the employment. What is the marginal physical product? Marginal physical product is the additional product. Additional product means here you can see how much addition we have made by adding one person. Here one person is added. Here 3 minus 0 is 3. So 3. When we have added one more person, the addition is only of one person, but how much production has been increased by 4. Again one person has been increased. Additional one person is increased, and the additional production is 5. Then you can say additional production is 4. Additional production is 3. Additional production means here TPN, that this is nth place, इससे ऊपर वाली n minus 1 आ जाएगी. TPN minus 1 को minus करना है, right? So this is how we'll get the MP. I hope the schedule has been clear to you, and further I'll be continuing this in my next video. Till here, please go through it. I'll be discussing it in my next video. Thank you. God bless you all.